Okay, so the lovely voice just told us this meeting is being recorded. All right, so hi everybody. Welcome to the MHA Gap Initiative Panelist Event featuring Susan Long-Molnar with Managing Communications. Welcome everybody. So first thing I'd like to do is I'm gonna throw a slide up on the screen just so you all get an idea of who our partners are first. And I'm gonna explain also what it is that the MHA Gap Initiative actually is. So, excuse me, and you'll also have to forgive me, I have a cold. So I'm gonna do my best. But so you'll see here on the slide, these are just some of our partners. We actually have quite a few that we work with, but the ones that you'll know throughout the region are the Hampton Roads Chamber, the Virginia Peninsula Chamber, V3, the Workforce Council, and then all of these schools here at the bottom, which I know you all are attending. So that just gives you kind of a little taste of our partners. And I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about what it is, what the MHA Gap Initiative actually is. So MHA, right, if you're not sure what that is, that's your monthly housing allowance that you get, right? So if you use the post 9/11 GI Bill, that's that housing allowance that you get every month that's based on your rate of study, which is what Bill was just talking about. So I'm sorry, before we get started into all that, I know everybody already is muted if you're not talking, but I would ask that you please do that just to keep kind of the background noise at a minimum until it's time for all of us to participate in the Q&A, kind of near the, it'll be about the halfway point. And then be ready to ask Susan some questions also, because that's what we're here for, right? Okay, so a little bit about the program, right? So this initiative was actually born out of my own experiences. I myself am an 11-year Navy veteran. If you're wondering, I was in the band. And if you're wondering, I played flute. So that's that. So in 2012, I separated. And at the time, I was getting divorced and I was a single mom. So, you know, I used that monthly housing allowance as my primary source of income, which, as you can imagine, was really challenging, right? So I started talking to some of my fellow students and I realized that, you know, like my situation wasn't that unique in the sense that when I wasn't receiving that payment, that times were hard. So, you know, time passes and I'm married and we PCS to Virginia and I start doing some volunteer work locally here with the Military Spouse Professional Network, which is an organization through Hiring Our Heroes. And through that work, I was connected with the folks at the chambers. So I took that opportunity and I said, hey guys, I think there's something we can do about this problem. And so, you know, we started talking and it became a working group and then it became an initiative. So that's where we are now. And there are a couple of ways that we are attempting to, I'm going to let somebody else in. There are a couple of ways that we are attempting to address this problem. So one of them, obviously, are these events. So these are, I want them to be informational so that you get a feel for what the industry is like here locally, but also they're for you to start building out your network because we know based on research that it depends on which research you're looking at, but in general, it's between what is like 80 or like 50 to 80% of all jobs are found through networking and not through, you know, ZipRecruiter and, you know, all these other websites, right? So these events are very important for you in that regard. So we're going to have some opportunities for you to connect with us through LinkedIn and also just general discussion, right? So the other thing that we're doing here at the initiative to help you all to close that gap is we partnered with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council that they host a website called the Veterans Career Compass. And that is an online tool where you can go, even after you've graduated, to either upload your resume or you can build one if you don't already have it. And then you can search for opportunities that fit whatever your needs are, right? So if you're a student right now and you're between sessions and you have 2 weeks between your sessions where you need something, but you don't have, a full 8 weeks to dedicate to an internship, well, we are hoping that you'd be able to find something on the Career Compass. So that is a place where not only you can search for those opportunities, but those companies that participate on the Compass can also search for you. So it's this really cool two-way street. So, all right, without further ado, unless anybody has any questions about the program, I guess I'll give you a second if anybody does have questions. I'm going to take that silence as a tacit no. All right, we are going to move on to our discussion with Susan Long-Molnar. Susan, I am so excited to have this discussion with you. Susan and I have known each other for a little while now. She and I met through the chamber, actually, at when I was representing the MSPN, Military Spouse Professional Network. So it's really wonderful to have her here, and she's a huge proponent of the military affiliated community. So, all right, Susan, let's get to it. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your company, its culture, and what you do there.
Sure. So it got a little ragged there. We're going to try to do this. It's great to meet all of you, and feel free to reach out to me at any point. You will find me on LinkedIn under Susan Long-Molnar, M-O-L-N-A-R. And I have about 6,500 contacts. So there just may be somebody there you want to ask me about. Be happy to help you. Thank you, Becky. Managing Communications was founded in 2002, 19 years ago. And I had just left USAA. And most of you know all about USAA, or probably already have benefits, or will at some point. And I was Director of Corporate Communications for the Mid-Atlantic region. I will be honest with you, when I went there, it's amazing I got the job. Truly amazing. I was hired by a retired admiral. My husband was in the Air Force, but he wasn't a lifer or anything. And he was in the Navy before that in high school, for ROTC and all that. But I had absolutely no military connections. And all of a sudden, I'm there, and I have one retired Navy captain and one retired chief, both having to report to me, a woman. So that's where that was, and it was a great experience. So we have a little different business model than some of the marketing, communications, PR agencies do, which is a benefit, I would think, to some of the folks transitioning out of military, maybe for you. But I have some thoughts now that I know a little bit more about what you're studying. So owning a advertising, PR, marketing business in prior years, before I did my corporate jaunt, I decided to avoid a lot of the pitfalls and stay as a small business. So I only hire independent contractors and interns. That's my model, and it's worked beautifully. It fits real well for most people, especially now after the pandemic, when everybody, went remote. And so working for Managing Communications is remote. Doesn't mean we don't get together, because we do, and we have meetings and that kind of thing. Our culture is simple. It's one of work wherever and whenever you want, but be sure to appreciate deadlines, as that's the most important thing to my clients. I also believe strongly in training. So some of which I provide depending on the focus of a particular work area. And sometimes I will reach out to others and bring them in, or send contractors or interns for more training in certain areas. Each client is on a retainer, and the clients are from every imaginable different industry. Right now, for those in cybersecurity, I don't have a cybersecurity company, but one of my companies that we support is Security 101. So that's a security facilities, systems, the cameras, the badges, all of that important aspects of security. So it's not IT, and it's not guards, but it's that other piece. Entrances, exits, and I learned a lot about that when I was at USAA, because we really had strong systems for entering our locations across the country. Let's see. So one of our longest standing clients has been with managing communications for 13 years. 2 new ones started last month. So we always have between 5 and 10 clients at any given time. However, there's another piece to what we do, and that's training. So we train in communications and marketing and leadership for businesses and nonprofits. So that kind of gives you maybe an overview. And we actually are starting a new program to host some webinars that will be national training programs.
So Susan, excuse me, your company sort of runs a gamut, right? You have a lot of services that you offer to your clients, right? So from that perspective, what makes a candidate someone, well, I guess, who are you looking for, right?
Sure.
What industries are represented at your company?
Okay. So over the years, we've handled just about every vertical you can think of, but we seem to flow in certain areas, some from past experience sitting on the inside. Agency people usually, it's a good thing, because I have sat both internally in corporate communications management within for USAA, Centera, and for Cox Communications. And then, but I've also had the agency side. So our most experience, I would say, would be in medical, manufacturing, definitely commercial real estate, and professional services like the architects and engineering firms, mechanical, civil, general contractors, those folks, and education. Those would probably be the ones over time, when I think back, and current, that are the most experience that we do. Some of you are probably familiar with a couple of brands. I'll mention one. Anybody ever like Dunkin' Donuts? So we handled in Virginia and the northern part of North Carolina for over 5 years. We handled PR for Dunkin' Donuts. We were one of 18 agencies in the country. So we do have that consumer-faced kind of experience. And I will share with you that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I also have a client that's in home care, and that is an area where they are recruiting like crazy. If anyone is looking for part-time hours and has some of that military medical background, to have an interest in either getting a very simple PCA license, they help with the training. It's kind of neat because those jobs are really flexible as well. And then I do know that Security 101 is growing. I don't know that there will be positions that, focus more in that IT area for security, but never know. So, and the other area that probably nobody's interested in, but I'll throw it out there. If you just want to get some work experience and some money and have, as I understand it, flexibility, my buddy Chris Stewart, who owns Top Guard Security, is desperately looking for people. And I think you all are just right for him. He can't hire straight out of high school. It's just, there's not a responsibility level there. And so that's something that might be of interest. I know the pay is probably not great, but there you go.
Well, okay, so I have two questions.
Mhm.
What is a PCA license, first of all?
Okay, that is a, let's see, CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant. A PCA is a either a private duty nurse or a not a physician assistant. We're down into nursing level. So
Gotcha.
they can't do as much as a CNA can do, but they basically help with mobility for elderly people or people who've had a stroke. Some of their clients could be very short term. They could have had a sports injury. They could have had a knee replacement, and there's nobody in the family to help them. So it's helping them get, more mobile. You don't give meds, but you remind them of what meds they need. And we have this elderly population that really is increasing constantly. If any of you have grandparents or even parents that are aging and that dementia starts to set in, and if you're not in, if you can't help them and you can't be there all the time or just need a break. So it could be where you go to the same house for 2 weeks at a certain hours that you figure out, and they're paying sign-on bonuses too, by the way, and they do have some benefits. Just sharing that because I told them I would while I had an audience.
Well, speaking of that, I don't personally know anyone who works for Top Guard, but I will say that they do the security for one of the schools that my son attends. Well, my sons attend two different schools, so one of them, right? And they are some of the most wonderful folks I've ever met. One of the guys I talked to, he's a former football player. No, not former. He was training to get into the NFL. He was huge, this guy, but just sweet as pie, I know Charlie's laughing at that. But, okay, so we've talked about quite a few opportunities here. This is really great. So how do you vet a potential candidate, right? Are there specific credentials that you're looking for?
Yeah, for managing communications, I'm going to share with you 3 areas that I am looking for. And, for these, we are a skills-based firm. So we're looking for people who can truly communicate what they know how to do. And there is a lot of technology to marketing and communications. And so that may be a good fit for someone. We also look for people, we want to know what your goals are. I mean, I may not be able to keep you for where you're headed, but the more I know about you when we vet, when we interview, the more I know of how I can possibly help you move into that direction. So with that, there's really no specific credentials that I require, but we need people who are proficient in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Those are the main ones. And more so for some of what I'm going to tell you than others. Other ideal technology would be familiarity with video production, which I need right away. If any of you all have had that kind of experience while you've been in the military, and I know if you didn't come out of public affairs offices, you know, those offices in the military, you may not, but you never know. So I will bring that up. Another thing is WordPress. If you have that IT ability to at least be able to get in there, you know, change content, change photos, even better, create a page. All of that's really good. So we transfer all of our clients to WordPress, just so you'll know that. These are skills that help employers look, no matter what you're in. If, for example, if you're in cybersecurity, you still have to be able to write. You have to be able to write good reports, do emails, think strategically about what you need to work well and what clients need that you're working with. So that's another one. And then any experience in publisher or InDesign, Canva's okay too. If you want to do something in that area. So what are these jobs? Okay. So first of all, as I said, these are contractor. So you're a 1099, you're not an employee, but of course it looks good on your resumes and it certainly can help in that regard. So I have, first of all, a video production professional. So I just recently hired an intern who just graduated from ODU, and she was the Mace and Crown editor for the magazine, and good background, and has a little bit of video, enough just for me to give her some projects. But ideally, I would like to have somebody who can work with her, and we can connect with me, and we can set that up. That's Becky. We can set that up so that your schedule works with her schedule. I'm sure we can. And so we need video on site. For example, at our STEM education program in Portsmouth for Starbase, we want to do a virtual tour. So that's hot on my plate right now. And just because we do social media for our clients, we do a lot of the strategy and actually the creation and all that. Video is just, and I just don't have the time, and all my people right now are either website or good writers, but nobody has that background. So I am looking for that. The next one is administrative assistants. There are projects that we need, like, you know, creating and updating spreadsheets, creating email communications and distribution, handling registrations for webinars. And we'll be getting into more events here in the fall. So that's going to be really important. Face-to-face events for fundraising. What else? And conducting some research, just having that ability to cull through information that can support strategic plans for our clients. And then the last one is a little different. By the way, those two positions, the first one, the video production, may be by the project. I like to think of that by the project. And then the administrative assistance is either a certain number of hours, or it could be by project. I start people, and these are entry level, but $12 an hour. I mean, it's higher than the $9.50 minimum wage, and you do get that resume built, and you do get some more training that you never know. I have always said in my life, I could have gone to school for communications, but thank goodness I was in a position where I had to learn XYZ because it made the difference. And so that's for those two: admin, support, video. Then I have a third one that I've been thinking about. I've done this before, and I actually had a former military guy that you all know on the committee, Mike Camden. He worked for me in this role, client acquisition associate. He got out of this, I think it's when he left Strayer or one of those, and before he went to Troy. And he said, I really want to do what you do. I said, okay, Mike, you're a good people person. And so we put him in that. Now, this one is about being able to network, be on now as we're getting face-to-face, be in meetings, build relationships, assist with proposals, help to vet clients that make sense. So there's training involved because you have to know the kind of clients we're looking for. This is a commission-based. It's a high commission. It really is. After the basic expenses, I give 30%. So out of the profit, I give 30%. Most of my retainers are $1,000 to $2,000 a month for each client. So there's some income that you can raise, some skills you can develop in case you need to sell cybersecurity or you need to sell something else. And I apologize, Jeremiah and Chase, I don't know yet what you're studying, so I just had to go on Mike and Brian, I believe. I do pay approved visits, meetings. I pay the gas and the or mileage. We work that out, and the registrations. But it is straight. I just have no income or time to waste. But it is a good opportunity for people. And that's that about actual how we vet skills, true skills. And you can still be in a training mode, but I'm not looking for another intern yet. So you have to come to us with some skills that we need. Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like you're looking for a lot of different things. So the opportunity is there, right? Excuse me. So Brian and Mike actually shared with us earlier what they were studying. And we're at the part of our event where we actually do get to talk to the students. So I would like to ask, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but Jeremiah, oh gosh, okay, I wrote everyone's names down. Okay, so Jeremiah, Chase, and Roderick, if you all would like to share what it is that you're studying, you're more than welcome. I'll give you the opportunity. How about we start with Jeremiah first so that we don't have people unmuting and all that on each other. All right, that's okay. Let's move on. Chase, would you like to share?
Sure, I'm happy to. Becky, thank you for putting this on. And also Susan, thank you to you for providing all that useful information. I'm a student at William & Mary, and I'm currently, my degree is actually in finance right now, but I'll be switching it over to business analytics. And that is what I'm going to be pursuing. So that is my current major. And what I would be most interested in getting an internship but obviously it sounds like maybe, we're in the later stages of searching for internships for this summer. So I'm obviously a little less picky at this point in time. So yeah, that's for me.
Well, I shared before I shared before you came on that one of my absolute best interns was from William & Mary. And I was a retired admiral's daughter. And at USAA, they never had HR got all the interns. And so when the HR director walked down the steps and said, Susan, would you like to have an intern? I said, we would love one.
Well, I get the feeling that Chase is not an admiral's daughter, but that would be a great intern.
Absolutely.
No, far from it, but maybe he could provide services on par to one. Who knows?
Yeah, he might go back in and be an admiral. We'll have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
I know, he's attending William & Mary. So the last person I want to give the opportunity to is Roderick, if you'd like to talk about what it is you're studying.
I think he dropped, Becky. I don't see him on the screen.
Oh, darn. Okay, thank you, Bill. Well, he is He'll be missed. So, all right, well, I'm gonna open it up. I have a couple of things that I want to mention, but before I do that, I want to give you guys the chance to ask whatever questions that you have to Susan.
Does anybody have video camera experience?
Beyond what is on your computer.
That's a negative.
Yeah, unfortunately not, Susan. I'm sorry, I do not.
Okay, but I like the fact that you're studying business analytics, and it's not necessarily too late for an internship. Maybe not with me, but with somebody else. Remember, these companies lost a lot of traction, and I can tell you, we're starting to boom. People say, I got to get back to my marketing. And there's marketing analytics to do, and to understand and to figure out where they're headed next. So, and some of them are creating new products or new services. So it would not hurt to send me anything that you have, and I'll be happy to see where I can help you. May not be with me, but with others.
Yeah, that would be terrific, Susan. And you would prefer, excuse me, that we reach out you through LinkedIn, and then we can correspond that way, send in resumes.
I'm fine with you. And if it's okay with Becky, I'm fine with you emailing me. And Becky, will you get that to them, or do I need to spell it out now?
No, I can do it while we're chatting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Jeremiah, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm trying to do two things at once. Sorry about that. No, what kind of video experience are you looking for?
Somebody who can, and trust me, everything is authentic these days. So if you don't have a sophisticated video camera, it's fine. We're using iPhone, but somebody who has some experience in, just good visual can create energy out of the visuals that are happening, and then somebody who can edit. So you have to know a little bit about editing. There's several editing programs, but and then we have to be able to create for like a 2-minute video that can be repurposed with pieces of it edited out for posts and that kind of thing for social media.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have a little bit of experience, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do. But I do know some people that have video editing experience and messed with it, so I could definitely take information and pass it along.
Great, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, Susan, I'm glad you gave the public affairs shout out, because that's what I did in the Marines. So speaking of those programs, is that something where you guys reimburse, or is that somebody gets the license themselves for Premiere, for example, or something like that?
You're asking me if they have to be licensed to be a videographer?
No. It's the software is usually like a monthly license or an annual license that you pay, and then you can have it after that.
I think if it's something reasonable, we would do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And also Becky was just in a video for the MHA Gap Initiative. And we tried to follow your guidance to keep it short. I think it was under 3 minutes. I think we couldn't get it under 2.
I'm just wide open for new technology, new, I know nothing about podcasting. My intern has a podcast that she's opening from ODU, she and a couple of kids. And I said, oh, you want to do that for me while you're here? Maybe we'll start a podcast series of some sort.
I'm putting in, so if you guys haven't seen it, I dropped Susan's email in the chat. I also dropped my own for the Gap Initiative. It's not mine, it's the initiative. But email us, right? We are available. Bill, are you gonna say something? Oh no, okay. I thought you were leaning in to unmute yourself. So were there any more questions? Okay, so we've been talking a lot about, these opportunities that will gain you work experience, and they might not be exactly in the field that you're studying, but they're worth it for different reasons. And so, kind of in that same vein, I want to throw out that the initiative is looking for volunteers as well. And we would absolutely love to have current students if you can swing it. I'm not saying you should drop a class or whatever. I did the student thing myself, so I understand what it is to have to concentrate. However, if you have a little time and you would like to get some experience with, I don't know, we're not a nonprofit, but we run sort of like a nonprofit. We'd love to have you. There definitely are opportunities with the audio visual kinds of work that we were just discussing. But excuse me, outreach is also something that we're looking for. And that actually helps you. So I did a lot of outreach in other realms of my life with nonprofits specifically, and then in either, well, mostly volunteer positions, but now I get paid to kind of do that as a business development analyst. So it does actually mean something. So being able to cold call people is kind of a huge deal. People love to hire you if you're willing to do that. And I know a lot of us are very confident in ourselves because we were in the military. So it's sort of an easy fit to do outreach and business development. So anyway, if you have questions about that, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. Okay, are there any more questions? Because I have another one, but I want to give you the chance.
Susan, you mentioned being interested in people's goals. And of course, I love the story about the William and Mary student that you had. Do you remember what people went on to do? In any examples? I think you gave one other one, which is a guy that we know, Mike Camden, who of course now does recruiting for Troy University for students. Mm-hmm. So I love that. I love to be able to draw that line through somebody beginning this work, possibly while they're a student or shortly after being a student. And then we may be able to point to what they've gone on to do.
Yeah, well, Mike is a good example because I think, I can't remember his degree, but he came out of more of, it's like in some of those schools, it's like they get inquiries and it all gets passed to you and then you make the phone calls. So it's not a lot of cold calling. It is some networking, but I think he was able to learn more about building the messages and the stories to then be that much further along in his career in working in those roles for universities. I think he would tell you that. Like he got an opportunity to literally write proposals, and we don't do cold calling. We don't do any of that, but to build the right relationships and with the right people. So that's one. Most of the people that come to me, I'll tell you one. One of my interns that I had this past year, right before COVID, her dad was a client. It was an engineering firm. And he said, can you do anything with my daughter? She just graduated like from somewhere. And because a lot of times I get asked that from clients. And so I always try to make that happen. But anyway, this particular one had an HR background and got an HR degree. And that's what she wanted to do. And that was her goal. Absolutely. And then, kind of reality set in, and she said, well, I can learn a lot here. Susan's going to make me write all those things, business writing, the kind of things and call through information and do a little bit of strategy. She had that opportunity. And then she realized, I'm not going to get hired straight out into this great goal of a job that I want. And so she started as almost a customer service front desk person in an HR department. And so it worked for her, and it looked good that she had something on there, you know, on that resume. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of an example. Most of them are communications majors though, or marketing.
Right.
And
And
so, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of those started out straight out of Virginia Wesleyan, was an intern for me for like 2 years. So she was an excellent writer. She had a lot going for her. I couldn't afford at that point to hire her, but X number of hours. And that's why I work this way, instead of a whole employee. So she's went to work for a law firm and worked at the customer service desk and continued to work for me. Then the chamber hired her away from me full time. Then she went to HRT and became like a manager. And now she is the communications director at the Hampton Roads Alliance. And that is Elisa Kreider. But she has even written national articles about how she started with me and where it went. So it's kind of nice.
right.
I'm glad I'm able to help people. I like helping young people.
Absolutely. And that's what I figured based on the list of career fields that the clients come from, is it's
Right.
all over the place because everybody uses communication. So that's
Right.
really cool.
All right, so I just dropped the Veterans Career Compass into the chat, so check that out as well. Excuse me. So I have sort of a general question, just because. So, like I said, I separated in 2012, and I graduated in 2018 because life happened, and don't always graduate on time, right? But that was, pre-pandemic. So I'm curious, like, I think Susan, I would assume like business has probably changed for you since the pandemic, right? In some way. Yeah. Could maybe explain a little bit like how it's changed.
I was very fortunate and only lost one client during COVID. And I think they'll come back eventually, but that was an engineering firm that we were trying to stretch to commercial and not just federal. They did a lot of federal work, and we really made some good en routes, and they started doing more business and made more partnerships with architects. I was able to do that for them, get them connected better. But then they got busy. So what it did for me is really give me time to evaluate what I thought people really needed. Even though I couldn't make money out of the training so much. Well, guess what? I pumped up more virtual training, and now I've got a schedule this summer of paid training with both ABC, which is the Association of Builder and Contractors. I've got Richmond. They're talking about me going to Roanoke, and that's how these things happen. If it's something that you have a competency in, and it just starts rolling. So that is definitely probably the COVID influence that particular growth. And now I'm finding that people who wanted to start businesses, I'm finding startups and entrepreneurs who just wanted to do something, and then it just couldn't do anything, just no way. And so my two newest clients are startups. One is a partnership of like a doctor out of EVMS and another person and someone else who already has a business, and they know they want to do this and they cannot give the time to it. But they received a good seed money. So we're using that and seeing where we can go from there. So I'm actually putting their business together with them. So I'm seeing more of that.
So then your business sort of grew during the pandemic in certain ways.
Right now, if you look at revenue, right now I'm up. Yeah.
Great.
Definitely.
That's amazing because, you know, like, well, similar to the company that I work for, which is WWC Global, we've always been virtual, even before
Right.
COVID. So it was easy, right? The challenge was the folks who are, you know, on-site contractors. So it's a government contracting firm. But that really wasn't much of a challenge. That was, you know, the government just had to give people their laptops, right? It was like, okay, you're good, right? I'm sure it's more complicated than I'm making it sound, but you know, it's good to hear that your business did well during the pandemic, you know.
I haven't changed how I work much. I miss being out face to face, and now I am doing more, but I'm finding people are still really funny about that. I told the chamber when I led the workforce development survey for the chamber, Norfolk Chamber Board, and then developed a panel. I mean, it was a whole process I put together. It worked beautifully, but it was a hybrid. And I told them, I'm not doing another virtual for you. I did yesterday, but I said, I said to the chamber, let's make this one at least hybrid. So we were at the Port of Authority. But when we got there, that's what's so weird, is nobody knows how to act. There's a lot less hugging. There's a lot less hand holding. People sit away from each other. They didn't have to wear their mask if they had been vaccinated. That was an interesting way the port handled it. Then the people are on virtual. And so when I trained yesterday on networking in a hybrid environment and back to work and remote and everything, that was the topic. I said, we got to get more creative about the poor virtual people that are sitting there to engage them. We've got to get better at this. So, because I don't think it's ever going away. I think all of us like being able to walk into our office or the couch or wherever we are and start a Zoom meeting. And oh, that's something I will add for all of you. Don't be shy if you want to meet somebody and say they connect with you on LinkedIn and you want to get in that company long term and there's no position open, don't be shy. And you can probably get them to say, I just want an informational interview. I am so excited about my goal to be blah, 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 right? And can you meet with me for 20 minutes on a Zoom? Can I schedule that? I bet they will, because my latest clients came from going to LinkedIn, sending a message and connecting on Zoom and letting it happen. I'm serious. That is, and it should happen with job placement too.
Yeah, and I just want to say we've had a special luck with the student veterans doing that same thing, connecting with people who've got the similar background, you know, so hopefully be with that MOS field, but even within, you know, branch of service or even just playing that veteran card. Totally, we have seen that work with not a cold call because it's not, you know, but that informational interview and saying, hey, I saw on your LinkedIn that you're a Marine, or I saw on that LinkedIn that you're you were in the Navy, bless your heart, you know, we can connect that way.
Best way to connect in the world is go see if they've served and where they served and see if you've got something in common. Absolutely.
I'll share a personal story that actually happened with me. I didn't get a job out of it, but that doesn't really matter. So I was still in school. It was my last semester. It was like February of my last semester. And I was doing the networking that everybody says you're supposed to do. And I reached out to, his name is Doug Beaver. He is now he's like the head of the Office of Resiliency at Norfolk or something. Anyway, Doug is a retired captain, and he was the CO of the Navy base when I was stationed there. So I reached out to him with that in common, and he kind of laughed. He's like, oh, this is really great. I'm talking to a sailor and all that. So I actually ended up talking to him for an hour and a half because what I was studying kind of fell in line with what he was working on. So we had a lot that we could discuss. And really, being in the military was just this tiny little piece of the conversation. The rest of it was, oh, what he's working on now, and how I might fit into that somehow. And like I said, a job didn't come out of it, but he knows my name now. And so if I need to reach out to the city of Norfolk for something within that office, I can just reach out to Doug Beaver. I call my former captain, Doug,
Good example.
it does work.
The more people you know in corporations and businesses, the better off you are. And I will tell you, a servant attitude is really, really helpful. So whereas I spent so many years trying to move up the corporate ladder and use the chamber way too much. I mean, it's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. But I really, during COVID, started branching out and going, this is a nice little group. MAH is one. I thought I could give something back to this group, and then now I'm on a school board, at the beach. You got to limit how much you're going to do. But if you want to get connections, I mean, that's the way to do it. Check out who's on the boards and go find, I've got one for you. If anybody wants to sit on a committee for Star-Based Victory, the ED is a retired admiral. We have several military people from corporations that are on the board. We wouldn't be able to put you on the board yet, but we work people up to the board. And so we got a couple committees. Anyway.
So tell us a little bit about that, because doesn't that have to do with STEM education?
Yeah, it's all about STEM. So IT, definitely. So it's science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what it means. And we believe that starting early, an elementary age at least, is the way to get more students engaged in those careers that lead to the kind of workforce that we're going to need. And you all been hearing this: cybersecurity, engineering, medical fields. So we start them in 4th grade. And I'm going to have to run because I have to leave right by 5 o'clock. I'm sorry. I have to be somewhere else. But it is a great little program. Every single kid in Portsmouth in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, it's not a club, it's not an academy. Every kid, even the ones that have disabilities, go to Starbase 1 week a year. And the first year is about space, not aeronautics, but spatial. They learn GPS, they learn all of that kind of thing. We have a unit with Port of Virginia, and they have to be able to do math to figure out how many tennis shoes, for example, you can put on a container. I mean, stuff like that. The next one, 5th grade, is environmental. I don't need to tell you what that's about. And 6th grade is physics. Yeah, 6th grade. Aeronautics. Oh, yeah. So it's just really cool. And we're running about 1st of June. It is wild. We're running about, even with COVID restrictions still a little bit there, we're running like 5 camps a week, all free.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, I've enjoyed this, and I hope it's been helpful. I knew I couldn't help that many of you with the particular needs that I have, but I just, from a career and connections, reach out to me. I'm fine. I will find time if you just want me to look at your resume, because I do a lot of that.
Susan, so I'm going to take a minute just to say thank you so much for your time and your dedication to the military affiliated community. We're so glad that you could make it, and that you were able to share your wisdom with us from all of the trainings that you do. So thank you. I'll let you sign off. I'm gonna stay on for a couple more minutes.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you, Susan.
Bye-bye.
All right, so I'm staying on to, I'm going to find Starbase Academy online and put that in the chat. But also, I wanted to say if anyone does not have LinkedIn or you're not comfortable with connecting that way, please do reach out via email. I'm more than happy to connect with you that way, as I know Bill and Charlie are as well. So while I look for Starbase Academy.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining us today. This is about the third one of these we've done. And just pay attention to the emails that come out again, because what we do is we try to rotate through different companies. So even if this wasn't a company that may have been something of interest for you, and in the future, we may have some, well, we will have different companies all hiring for different things. So keep coming back. It's great professional development. It sounds like, I know, Brian, it sounds like you're just getting started, and Mike, you're about to graduate, and Jeremiah has graduated already, working on his master's. So a little bit of everybody, and we can all learn something. I learned something from Susan today. So it's just good to keep brushing up your skills. And you never know, you come back to one of these, or maybe a company that's looking for exactly something that you're interested in doing, and we can get you all connected and help get some more money while you're in school.
Right, and there's also the link in the chat for the Veterans Career Compass. So that's got opportunities in it, separate from what Susan was talking about today. And I haven't scrolled through all of it, so I don't even know what's on there. But yeah, so a lot of great stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, the Veteran Career Compass it was actually expanded to include students. So originally it was for veterans and spouses to find just, paid work. Right. So it was either full-time or part-time work. But now it includes students. So there's internships and of, hopefully all lengths and just opportunities that sort of that aren't necessarily traditional. We did that on purpose because we know that your schedules aren't necessarily in line with a traditional school schedule. Like our ECPI folks, right? We already talked about that. So we recognize that is an issue for you all. So anyway, I would love for any of you to reach out to me, and I would love to chat with you all about the work that we're doing to see how we can improve. And not in a survey kind of way, in a like, I really want to talk to you as a human being kind of way. So sorry, so, please do reach out. I love chatting with you guys. So I'll give you guys one more chance to ask any questions if you have anything. Otherwise, we'll see you guys hopefully so we have another event, not next month, but the following month. So what is it? In July, we'll have another event. And just a sneak preview, we are vetting some companies that should hopefully have some cybersecurity opportunities. So keep your eyes out on LinkedIn. If you connect with me, you'll see that. You'll see the information pop up. Otherwise, look for the information from your schools. But yeah, so any more questions really quick, one more time?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Bye.
All right, guys. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.